Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. I am your host, Josh Davis, also known as Crash. And today we have a very special guest, our very own coach. The founder of it all is back with us today to talk about the 2024-25 NBA season. So, Coach, I'm excited about today. I'm ready to kick this thing off. I'm excited about the NBA season this year. It should be a really good season. And we're going to talk a lot about, some of the moves that teams made this offseason and kind of what we expect. And from a DFS standpoint, how we want to attack our lineup strategy and things like that. So how are you doing on this Monday afternoon?
Doing great, Josh. It's great to be back and great to see you.
For sure.
Excited about the NBA opening day tomorrow, or opening evening.
Yeah,
should be fantastic, and it should be a really tremendous year. A lot of competitive teams, a lot of good player movement, some good young players. Just could not be more fired up. And obviously as a Mavs fan, gotta love that because the additions that they made really have put them in a position to contend. So I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited. The Bucks, they made some kind of, lesser attractive moves, I guess, on paper, but hopefully they'll pay off, give them some more depth, maybe a little bit more youth. And, really, as long as Giannis stays healthy, that's the main thing because they can't have that happen again. That just killed them in the playoffs.
Yeah, Giannis healthy and Dame settled in with, some time under his belt with the squad. I think you're going to be just fine.
Yeah. I think so too. Well, if you're new to DFS Coach Talk, if you would hit the like button and then hit subscribe after you've done those two things, if you would hit the alarm bell, that will let you know when our newest podcast has gone live. If you would like to join our Discord, we have a very family-friendly, very positive and encouraging environment in our Discord. You can send us a DM on X or Twitter at DFS Coach Talk, and we'll be glad to get you in there. If you're watching today and this is your first time seeing us, or if you aren't currently a member in our Discord, I will be giving away a free week's membership to our Discord. So definitely want to stay tuned for that. And with that being said, Coach, I think we're ready to go ahead and kick this thing off. So go for it.
Awesome. And like you said, my goal today is just, give you a quick brush of each team as far as, the starting five, what their rotation looks like a little bit, and who to target. And, you can utilize that information, obviously, in daily fantasy sports, which, we've always been all about. And you can utilize that on whatever you play otherwise as well. If you're in year-long leagues or if you're playing props, those are certain things that you can pull off of this as well. And, and Josh, if you remember, we've done this together for years. Early in the season is the best time. You get that first 15 or 20 games. That's when everybody's confused. Things are settling in, rotations are changing, and you can really take advantage of the market. It settles in after that, about the first, third of the season or so. And then everybody's a little bit more on equal footing. But
for sure,
our goal is to help you get a quick edge and quick jump on everybody else out there. So that's the plan.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, we're going to just go alphabetical order, just chat about it real quick. Here we go. Atlanta Hawks. And looks like, with getting DeJounte Murray out, which really was never a fit there, should open things up for some of their key players. I think, obviously, everybody's high on Trae Young this year. I think that's, going to be a plus for him with Murray not being there personally. And then Bogdanovich will have some increased time. Hunter's, secondary guy. The guy I really like, though, is Jalen Johnson. No, steal here. He's 16 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists a game last year, but he just is really blossoming. And I think, being the second guy to Trae and sometimes the first guy, and Trae will be second, I think Jalen's going to do great. I'd stay away from the Capella, Okongwu situation. And then their bench is going to be a little touchy. I like the Frenchman, Riesischer. It's so hard to pronounce.
Yeah, it is hot. Yeah. He was the number one pick, right?
Yeah, he's I think going to get really good rotational minutes. So he's, as a rookie, he's one of the better rookies out there, in my opinion. I think he's a first team all rookie candidate, no question about it. Mm-hmm. But after that, I think that's pretty much where you go. But you're going to get a lot of people flooding to Trae Young early on, but don't sell Jalen Johnson short.
Yeah, I agree, Coach.
Okay, team 2, your favorites, the Boston Celtics.
No.
I mean, what's the mystery there? Of course, it's Tatum, Brown, always good plays. If one sits, the other one's a must play. The old scenario, the LeBron AD scenario. And then, the complementary guys are very solid. And if you pick them on the right day, you got to look at the matchups there for Holiday and Derek White.
Yeah.
I'm steering clear from Porzingis this year just because of the constant injuries and sitting. I think you're going to see a lot of guys like Porzingis and Joel Embiid and Anthony Davis and these guys that we're always afraid of the fact that they're going to sit. I think you may see a little bit more sitting from some of those guys this year. Now, last year, the commissioner put those new rules into effect where you had to play 65 games to be eligible for awards and all kinds of different scenarios to motivate guys to get more minutes because of all of the crazy sitting of players and everything. I think you're going to see a little pushback more the second year on that for some of the guys that do play with a lot of injuries, specifically the Porzingises and Embiids. So as good as he is, somebody you want to always be wary of. But, how long can you roll Al Horford out there? My goodness. I mean, he's almost 40, I believe.
Yeah, I think he is. I mean, he was a key contributor during the finals, so it's kind of crazy.
Oh, he is. I mean, if Porzingis is out, he's always a guy that you can look at. But remember, they do like to go small and even play Tatum at the 5, for God's sakes, you see at times. So, they're going to be a team to beat, of course, again. But, we'll see how they bounce back now that they won it, if they still have that hunger and edge like they have last year.
So it's hard to keep that edge to repeat, for sure.
No question about it. But, they'll always be chalky because, everybody likes to play early games. When they're on the East Coast, they're an early game, and they've got guys that can put numbers up. But, I think we've talked about it before. It's not because we don't like the Celtics. It's just neither one of us really plays a lot of Celtics unless, the Tatum Brown scenario sets up just right. But they're always going to be overpriced too.
True.
So, All right, let's move. Brooklyn Nets. What a interesting scenario we have there with all the trades. And, you go back a year and a half or 2 years, I don't know if they have anybody on the entire roster that they had before. So very, very tough one to call. But you're going to get some real good plays. Excuse me. Depending on the night. You have Dennis Schroeder's always usually underpriced. Cam Thomas, who's going to chuck and duck, forever.
Sure.
And then Cam Johnson, who everybody was high on last year, and he didn't do much, 13, 4, and 2 last year. A lot of people on a given night, if it's a good matchup, Nick Claxton, always a nice play. He's a double-double pretty much every night. He was 12 and 10 last year, but, still improving. And then you have a few wild cards in there, Josh. You have Ben Simmons returning.
True.
But, how's he going to affect that rotation? And, and then you've got Bogdanovich in there, who they had picked up, and Day'Ron Sharp off the bench. I mean, it's a team with, some young depth, but I think a team that's going to struggle a lot this year. think you're going to have to pick and choose the Schroeders, Cam Thomases, maybe Claxtons, depending on the matchup.
Sure. Yeah.
How about the Charlotte Hornets?
Charlotte Hornets.
I think, I'll tell you what, I think they're in the process of getting better. I really do. They get LaMelo Ball back.
Right.
And supposedly he's, ready to go 100%. And obviously he's somewhat injury prone now. We've seen a couple of seasons in a row, but 24, 5, and 8. That's pretty stout numbers before he went down last year. And, he gets a running mate in Brandon Miller now. I'm very high on Brandon Miller. And, I'll tell you, last year, I remember we had a talk at the beginning of last season, and I thought maybe he wasn't even deserved of the second pick. I was thinking Scoot Henderson was a stronger player, but absolutely not. Brandon Miller is twice the player, in my opinion, that Scoot Henderson is. So that's a guy you got to put a circle around. 17, 4, and 2. Yep.
Yeah, especially at the end of the year, he really started to come on strong. He was. I felt the same way. I thought he was a little bit overrated, and then by the end of the year, I mean, he was really playing some good ball. So, I think Brandon Miller is going to be a key piece this year in the East.
I think he's solid, and again, he picked up a lot of that usage when Ball went down. He got a lot more shots up, but he's also, going to get a lot more open shots because of Ball. So I think you don't have to be afraid of those numbers, and think that they were bloated at the end of the year, because I think you're going to see him get that anyway. The guy that really impressed, once he had all his personal issues behind him and came back, though, I don't think people realize Miles Bridges put up 21 and 7. I mean, that's a number.
Yeah.
So, I think you put a big circle around him. Then you've got the bigs it's going to be difficult. I like Mark Williams. I think he's a good player, but he's hurt, and he's often hurt.
Yeah.
So, really be wary of him. You don't want the Grant Richardsons, Nick Richards, those guys. I'll tell you the guy, though, that I think is going to start for them is Josh Green. And again, you're going to say, oh, Mavericks, lover. But I'll tell you, that dude is a hustler. He was only 8-3 and 2 last year, but he didn't have a role, he just off the bench. So if Charlotte gives him a chance, lets him start, I think he's going to be a nice contributor. On a given night, he can get you 16 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, a couple of steals. He could be a difference maker.
For sure, and he should be pretty low price too, at least at the start of the year.
I think so. Is he gonna play over Cody Martin, Trey Mann, some of those guys? Seth Curry's on that team as well, but I think some of those guys are on the way down. Just something to watch, though. I mean, obviously, Ball, Miller, and Bridges are the guys you're going to want to look at immediately. But if you're going to need that cheap guy, Josh Green. Now, if Josh Green and Cody Martin split minutes, then you got some issues there you don't want to even deal with. So, but keep an eye on it.
For sure.
Chicago Bulls. How's that, Josh? You ready for the Bulls?
Yeah. That's the Central. We moved on to the Central, right? Started in the East.
Yeah. I'm going alphabetical order. So
okay, gotcha. Yeah,
wherever they fall, they fall. I'm going to C for Chicago. So
gotcha.
Their big move was picking up Josh Giddey. That was that was a big move, and he's looked real good in preseason. Fits right in with that squad. As far as starting lineup, you're going to get a lot of minutes from Giddey, Kobe White, and Zach LaVine at the guard spots, obviously. And then Dosunmu, because he's such a good defender, will be in their rotation. So, let's see how some of that plays out. Vuk, 18, 11, and 3 on a given night, if his price is right, always, a nice little play. After that, you got, Patrick Williams. THT is new to the team this year. They picked up Chris Duarte as well, the pacer. It's going to take time. They're not a real strong team. I do think Giddey's going to help them, but not somebody that I'm going to be focusing on early out. They're going to be a fade unless they're really playing a poor defensive squad for me.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they handle the 3 guards. That's, it's a lot of minutes to go around there, so they'll have to figure that out, but have to be unselfish, that's for sure.
And they might play smaller, which isn't really that small. Kobe's small, but Josh Giddey and Levine are tall. So, you can play those guys at the 2-3, even though, Giddey's more of a natural 1. But, we'll see how their mixture is. They have Lonzo Ball back, so see if he can get any minutes.
Yeah, that's true. That's another guard that they have to throw in there. Yep.
Yeah. So, definitely a big question mark on that squad and something to steer clear from initially, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Cleveland Cavaliers, really status quo for them. It looks like they're just going to rinse and repeat. Their goal was to keep Donovan Mitchell there. There were a million rumors about him, getting moved and et cetera. But it looks like it's going to be the same scenario where, you've got Mitchell, who's a quality play on any given night, 27, 5, and 6 last year with some crazy games on the board.
Yeah.
And then your second flight guy, which I find myself playing a lot last year, was Darius Garland. Yes, he's a boomer bust at times, but 18, 3, and 7 is solid. I think he's a guy that, you can plug in there and feel pretty good about. The problem for me, and from, doing this with me for years, I can't stand when guys split stuff and the whole Evan Mobley and Jared Allen thing.
Yeah.
They can both be great. They can both be not great. They can both survive. You look at Mobley 16, 9, and 3, and Jared Allen 17, 11, and 3, which is outstanding. He had some big games.
Yeah.
But you got to, pick your poison on a given night. That's the tough part.
Yeah, for sure.
After that, no real change. LeVert off the bench is going to be their top guy. He's one of those guys that ends up being chalk if somebody sits. If Garland or Mitchell are out and LeVert's going to get a start, he's going to be cheap and everybody's going to jam him in. So, just something to watch there. But I think Donovan Mitchell's actually underrated, believe it or not. I think he's that awesome. I really do. So, going to be a fun year for them. I'm glad they're running it back, which is really good. All right, I don't know much about this next team, the Dallas Mavericks, but I'm willing to share what I know.
Yeah.
I think that guy, as you used to call him, Luka Doncic, which always was painful. I think you said
I know.
Just because I couldn't pronounce Giannis's last name, that's all.
Yeah. I got past that a long time ago, though, so you don't have to bring that up.
You did it on purpose.
Yeah.
Don't kid me.
Luka Doncic, I got it.
So anyway, any given night, obviously, he can be your first guy in. He's always going to be enormously expensive. He sat out most of the preseason, so is he hurt bad? No, he's not hurt bad. He's got little dings here and there. He looks like he's in shape. He has a tendency sometimes to show up to camp a little pudgy, but he looks good. He's fit. So I think he'll be just fine. And, I wouldn't be afraid to play him early on. The injury's nothing that's, going to push back on him whatsoever.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see some overpriced on Kyrie like usual, and he was 26, 5, and 5, which how you say, Coach, how could he be overpriced? Well, the problem is with Kyrie, yes, he can have a 40-point game at the drop of a hat, especially if Luka's off or in foul trouble or dinged a little. Then Kyrie's always great. But he's always going to, give the ball to Luka in the clutch and et cetera, most of the time. So can you spend that much on a daily fantasy for Kyrie in that scenario? That's where it gets tough. I've got the Kyrie jersey on and everything, but, I didn't own him a lot last year. And unless Luka was down, then, to me, if Luka's out, then he's a plug and play for me.
For sure. Yeah.
But other than that, you got to watch the dollars there. After that, though, I will not have a ton of Mavericks early on. Klay Thompson obviously could be he's a fantastic pickup. He's going to get shots up, but how much is that role going to be involved? We have to all see that until we really see real games, which we haven't really seen all of them play together because Luka's been out in the preseason.
Right.
I think you just have to really watch and see in the rotation how many shots is he going to get. What's the rest of the rotation going to look like? Really, to me, the safest guy, if you're looking for a cheaper play, is PJ Washington, because he's always going to be on the floor big minutes, 35 minutes, because he's going to guard the best perimeter player generally from the other team, or the small forward or the scorer. And 13, 6, and 2 with the ability for improvement. I mean, people think just because of that long playoff run, hey, Gafford and Washington and those guys have been with the team for a long time. No, they came, after mid-season, to booster the team. So now they've had a full off season together, which they had never had. So I think PJ is going to be a really nice spot and a safe play for a mid to cheaper price. What I would be very wary of is the Gafford Lively. We talk about it all the time. Splits are killers, because minutes equal money, as we always talk about. And I think Gafford and Lively will split a lot of minutes still. I think Lively is going to end up being the guy. So if you're playing league, best balls or year long, I would definitely favor Lively over Gafford. I think he'll increase in his usage. And I'll tell you what, in the preseason, he's been crazy. He's hit a little jump hook. He can handle the ball a little bit better than he did. He can even hit a three on occasion, which is nuts.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So, and he's 21 years old, if that, 20 or 21. I don't even know if he turned 21. And he's a baby. So that's a guy to, circle for the future for sure. No question.
Sure. Yeah. Definitely.
But after that, it's going to be, a sprinkling of Najee Marshall, great pickup. I think he's going to really fit into that squad. Quentin Grimes, I love, great pickup. Another guy that's really going to, help out. Hardy's going to be solid off the bench. I think that's going to be your main rotation. But, don't sell Dinwiddie short either. Exum's going to be out for a while. He got hurt in preseason, so he should get a lot of those backup guard minutes.
Okay. And they got rid of, like you said, they got rid of Josh Green, but they also got rid of Tim Hardaway Jr. So those minutes should be pretty open for Klay. With that being said. So.
Klay, Najee Marshall, for sure.
Yeah, Najee Marshall, they did pick him up. That's right. I saw him. I was watching that game.
And Quentin Grimes. And all those guys can defend too. So
yeah, they can. I was watching that game against my Bucks, which we didn't play any of our starters hardly at all, but there were a lot of young Mavericks that I was pretty impressed with for sure.
They've got some good two-way guys. Yeah, they're up and coming. I'll tell you, Nico has done an amazing job as the GM there. Absolutely fantastic. I mean, you remember when it happened, I was ready to burn my Mavericks gear when they let Jalen Brunson walk to the Knicks for nothing. I thought, Nico's done. I don't want to, he's dead to me. But then since that moment, I mean, the whole thing with Kyrie and then PJ and Gafford and now picking up these guys, Najee and Quentin. I mean, he's building a championship contending team. And that's what you needed to do. I mean, you don't get the Lucas of the world very often.
Sure.
That 3, 4, 5 years when they're super in their prime, which Luka's just getting to. He's 25.
Yeah.
This next 5 years is the key, and
Yeah.
you're not going to have Kyrie for 5 more years. So these other guys or Clay. So it's develop these younger guys in these next couple of years when you get those two at the end, and then be able to take it from there. So I'm excited.
It's easy to forget how young Luka is because of how he kind of has the old man's game. You know how he plays. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It really is. I mean, if he stays healthy, he's gonna break a lot of records. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
All right, the team I'm terrified of, as always, is the Denver Nuggets. They pretty much didn't do a whole lot this year. I mean, they lost a few guys, but their core's back. It's going to be, can Jamal Murray be healthy? I mean, he had a really unhealthy chunks of time of his career and sort of finished out that way in this summer. So, we'll see. If he's healthy, that's a world of difference for them. They do have Russell Westbrook as the backup, so that'll give him a little break. I'm thinking a good sleeper. You're going to laugh at this one, but I like Christian Braun. I think he may start at the 2.
Okay.
And I think he's going to get good minutes. He's going to be super cheap. He can shoot. He's got, he was only 7, 4, and 2, which isn't that bad considering he got garbage minutes a lot of times. But I really think, that he's going to be a key contributor that no one expected. And I think he's a good sleeper. Porter, hit and miss. I'm not a Porter guy, but at times he can carry, at times he can kill you. 17-7, only 2 assists, but we'll see how he does. Seems like I had Aaron Gordon like every other night. I don't know why, because he's always cheap.
Yeah.
And he's always a double possibility.
Right.
14, 7, and 4. That's nothing to be ashamed of. So, where do you go from there? So he's a decent player. Joker, we don't have to. I mean, a lot of times it's going to be, do you want Luka or do you want Joker? A lot of nights. 26, 12, and 9.
Wow.
That's like playing against a JV squad, man. That's nuts.
Yeah.
So
that is. Yeah. I looked at a lineup site just now, and they do have Braun projected as a starting, or Brown, however you say it, projected as a starting shooter.
Oh yeah, Brown. Yeah, it's spelled Braun, but he pronounces it Brown, which is dumb,
Brown.
But
yeah,
it is what it is. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, some of the sites say he is, some say that he isn't. I just think he will, because I know that Coach really loves him and he's real trustworthy. He had him in at the end of games and in overtimes a in the last third of the season and even in the playoffs. So I think this could be a little bit of a breakout for him.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that rolls. And I'll tell you, if Murray is unhealthy and goes down, he's gonna run the show a lot too.
Sure.
Because I don't think you really trust Westbrook at this point in his career with those double-digit turnover possibilities to really run the show.
Yeah, I agree.
So, all right, sir. Detroit Pistons, bizarre Pistons. That whole scenario. I'm a big Monty Williams guy, and what a disaster that I've never seen.
Yeah.
Highest paid coach, rookie coach comes in, gone after 1 year. Disaster. But we'll see. They're going after it. They've got an enormous amount of young talent. Cade Cunningham, if he stays healthy, could be an all-star. That's how good he is. Jaden Ivey, super solid 2-guard. Then you've got Tobias Harris added to the mix. Good veteran, no one's talked about. 17, 7, and 3 last year. That's a massive games when Embiid was out.
True.
One of my favorite young centers in the entire league, Jalen Duren. I think you can put a circle around him. You'll get him cheap with a lot of the overpriced centers. He was only 14, 12, and 2, and he really started out the season sort of splitting some time from time to time. So
Yeah.
I think you'll see his emergence. And then you'll have Beef Stew off the bench. Asur Thompson, the one twin's tough. He got hurt. They picked up Fonachecchio from the Utah Jazz, and he played an enormous amount of minutes. So he's going to be in their rotation. Another guy that you could get dirt cheap is last guy in. So, you got to see where the dust settles with the new coach there. Tim Hardaway played a lot of minutes in the preseason for them. So,
true.
We know he can get hot, boom or bust kind of guy, but, is he going to take shots away from Cunningham and Ivy? That's what we got to really see where the dust settles there. They also have Malik Beasley. So I don't think they've quite decided on exact rotation there, but, I guess the safest spots are Cunningham and Duren to start out.
Yep. I agree.
Golden State Warriors, sir. Stephen Curry primed for a great year after possibly the greatest basketball performance I've ever seen in my life in that Olympic gold medal game. I don't know
that was amazing.
if I've ever seen anything like that, but talk about cementing your legacy,
Yeah, that was insane.
Unreal. So you got him, the question is durability. Can he, we know he's had a lot of durability problems through his career.
Yeah.
He's been better towards the end, but he is getting older, and he's played all summer with the Olympics. So a little scared, but, a lot of people may just knee jerk and think, well, Clay's gone. He's going to get more shots up. That's not the case. I mean, Clay was coming off the bench. Yeah. He was getting his share, so I think Curry's 26-5-5. If he does that again, that's excellent. I mean, he just has to stay healthy. I think, you're going to get a starter now in Podziemski, who really a super young player with a lot of ability. And he not only gets you a little bit of everything, he was 9, 6, and 4, but remember at the beginning of the year, he was barely getting off the bench.
Right.
So, you put him into a starting lineup. He's got to, sort of, people are going to talk like it is, but he's not really replacing Clay, but they're going to look at it that way. So he's got to step in and replace a splash brother. But if anybody can do it, that kid is hard-nosed. I like him a lot. He's going to get your rebounds, steals. He does all the little things. Great running mate, I think, in mixture in that lineup. So, where is some of that offense going to come from after Curry? I think you're going to get some from him. Because really after that, I don't know about you, but Andrew Wiggins, Draymond Green, Jackson Davis, Kuminga, Looney, Peyton, Hield, none of those guys get me very excited. So I'm not sold on the Warriors. I think they're definitely on a downturn, but who knows? Curry could have one of those magic years and, picks the rest of the group up. But, I'm a little worried about this squad, to be honest with you.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I do like Kuminga. He definitely had some good games towards the end of the year as, they shifted more towards him than Clay. But, I could definitely see them falling off, quite a bit for sure.
We'll see. I mean, Kuminga has tremendous talent. He just seems to be boneheaded at times, and I know Curry gets frustrated with him. So you never know in that scenario, but definitely potential.
Yeah.
All right, sir. Houston Rockets, up and coming team, another team with massive amount of young talent. It's like a who's who in young talent. It's nuts. But
for sure.
Fred VanVleet, 17, 4, and 8, did everything that they paid in the big bucks to come there. Jalen Green, everybody's sort of sweetheart, coming out, champion, all-star kind of potential. 25 and 4 is pretty darn good numbers, but we'll see. After that, you've got the better Thompson brother, Amen Thompson, 10, 7, and 3, and showed really signs of being solid. But here's the problem, Josh, and you tell me. I mean, Şengün is fantastic. 21, 9, and 5, which is excellent. But here's my concern. Their depth with Amon Thompson there, Jabari Smith Jr., Jock Landale as a backup, Tari Eason, who they're trying to get minutes. They still have 75-year-old Jeff Green and, Cam Whitmore, who's trying to sneak minutes in at the small. And now you've got a rookie in Reed Shepherd in the backcourt, who I think is going to take some minutes from Green and Van Vliet. From everything I've seen this preseason, he's one of the better first-team type of rookie teams to me is Reed Shepherd. So I think you're going to have a much better team. But when you look at like Van Vliet, Green, Shepherd, Brooks, Whitmore, Tate Thompson, Eason, Şengün, Jabari Smith, and that's not even trying to get minutes for the old guys like Green and Landale and those people. So the depth is going to be a concern for fantasy, I think, in my opinion. Go ahead.
Quite a conundrum there. So do you think that Thompson, I would think Thompson would start to get more minutes because they want to develop him. I mean, Eason's been there for a little while. His role is kind of established, in my opinion. So do you think Thompson will start to get more of those minutes?
Well, I mean, he was a top pick, and I think he's going to get a lot of minutes. Yeah, and there's no question. My question is on the usage side, though. I mean, if you're feeding Şengün, when he's hot, he can carry a team.
True.
Jabari Smith was a top pick as well, and he's not going to be a 14, 8, and 2 last year. He had some good games. He's going to get minutes.
Right.
So my question is, if Green and Shepherd and Van Vliet are getting their shots up, and you're feeding Şengün inside, Amen Thompson, who can do a little bit of everything, Dylan Brooks, as you know, it's hilarious, but Dylan Brooks, when he's out on the floor, he thinks he's Michael Jordan. I mean, it's his mindset. He's a great defender and hustler, but I think he believes he's a great scorer, which he's not.
True.
But it's going to still take shots up. So, I guess my whole theory with Houston is I like their team, but as far as fantasy goes, I'm concerned because of all the usage splits everywhere.
Yeah.
And, let's see how much Reed Shepherd really does step up.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if, Jabari Smith put some muscle on. I mean, that dude's only like 22 years old too.
Yeah.
And, he's just coming into his own. Same thing with Thompson. He's like 20 maybe or something like that. So, it's hard to tell with this one. It might be one of the teams you want to let the dust settle a little on. Mm-hmm. Just don't go too high or spend too much right off the bat on the Van Vliets and Greens and even Şengüns at this point. Let's sort of see where that dust settles, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that's a good point.
All right, we doing okay on time?
Yeah, we're doing good. Yeah.
All right, Indiana Pacers. We got Halliburton in there. Guy couldn't see the floor for the Olympics, but he was on that squad. So we got to give him credit there. 24-11, phenomenal season. Certainly the center and face of that franchise. Always dangerous on any given night. And then they signed Pascal Siakam. He took a little bit of a hometown discount, believe it or not. Signed long-term with them. So he's solidified. And then, the veteran Miles Turner had a very solid year, 17-7. Nothing wrong with that. He's a good center. He's always risky, though. He can give you a 20-15 game once in a while with 5 blocks. I mean, he's going to get you a lot of block shots, but he's also one of those dudes that can go in and get 2 fouls in 30 seconds, and then your night's over. You turn the laptop off, if you will. But, risk-reward guy. Same rotation, though, other than that, which understandable. They're all young and, Nesmith and Mathurin and, Weissman and Isaiah Jackson, Obi Toppin. A lot of those guys are young. They're going to get minutes. They're going to be in that rotation. You
Yep.
got a nice backup for Halliburton and TJ McConnell. And again, when Halliburton sits, everybody plug and plays TJ because he generally is going to get you 10 assists and about 5 steals.
Right.
But I think you got to watch a little bit and be a little cautious on the depth of their rotation early on. I mean, I think you're safe, obviously, with Halliburton. I'm a big Nesmith guy. I think his potential is terrific. I mean, 12-4-2, but he just seemed to start getting it at the end of the year, and in the playoff experience was great for him. I think you're going to see Nembhard and Nesmith both improve and be key contributors in that rotation. Siakam, I mean, he was decent when he was there. He hits big shots.
Yeah.
He wasn't the dominant player at times as he was in Toronto. So, it's all going to depend on his pricing and where he's at. 22-7-4. I don't know. I see him slight decline this year, but I think they're gonna be a nice team. They're gonna be a troublesome team to play on a given night.
For sure. Yeah, I think Nembhard is one of my rising stars this year. I really like him. I think he's going to be a good player this year for sure. So
he's got the potential and confidence. He was part of that All-Star weekend with some of the stuff that they did and showed up, and
he played really well. Played really well when Halliburton was out, for sure.
He sure did. All right, Los Angeles teams, the Clippers, which are an utter disaster.
Yeah.
Not sure what to think there. I mean, James Harden, and if you're feeling frosty on any given night, he can do anything, that you'd expect, but you got to start to see some regression there. I mean, 17-5-9 last year. I think they're going to be one of the worst teams in the league. I know it sounds crazy, but they're just not good. I mean, who knows when Kawhi is going to be back?
Right.
And then you look at that squad, man. I mean, Harden, Norman Powell, Derrick Jones, who I can't believe Derrick Jones left the Mavericks to go there. I mean, you talk about taking the money and running.
Right.
That's a waste. And for the money they paid him, I mean, that's insane. And then Zubac, I mean, he's Zubac. He's okay. He can win some slates for you, but he can also just be average. But even their bench, Bones Highland, Amir Coffey, Nicholas Batum, long in the tooth. How is PJ Tucker still in the league?
Right.
I don't get that. Chris Dunn. I mean, these guys need to. Yeah, they're not good. They are not good, Josh.
That's a rough. Yeah, that sounds about like a 25 to 30 win team, maybe.
I mean, they've gone in the tank fast, and I think this is their first year in their multi-billion-dollar stadium too that they just built. So what a rough start there. Maybe they can trade Harden at some point or whatever and start,
we have to rebuild,
stocking up some draft picks. Yeah.
Rebuild. Yeah. Wow.
They signed Kevin Porter Jr. if you want more confusion and problems and issues on a squad.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. I know now we get to your favorite player in the NBA, LeBron James.
Oh, geez.
I know you're such an enormous fan of his social stances. Now
we have his son too. So yeah.
So what do we got? Are you gonna draft Bronny James in your first squad?
No, I don't think he's gonna get very many minutes to start the year at least. So
if they put together a G League fantasy, I'm still not taking.
You don't think you play him? Yeah.
No. So we've got the regular scenario here. I mean, what has changed with this squad? D'Angelo Russell, Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, LeBron James, Anthony Davis. Can LeBron at 40 stay healthy? Anthony Davis, we always know, is day to day. He'll be listed questionable every game, every year.
Right.
So after that, though, it'll be very interesting. Jackson Hayes and Vanderbilt, Reddish, Christie, Gabe Vincent, this, Connect guy that's everyone you went nuts for in the preseason.
If he keeps playing like he did against the Suns in the preseason game, I mean, he's definitely going to be their starting 3 by the end of the year. But I don't expect him to. But that was an insane game. That dude could not miss.
He was unconscious. I mean, I don't think he's going to get big minutes at all. I really think he's going to be, scrap minutes and maybe play his way into it.
Mm-hmm.
Not to, burst the bubble for Lakers fans, but if you're expecting him to dive in and be the starting 3, I don't see that at all. I mean, he's got Hashimura, Christie, Reddish, Vanderbilt, Reeves, all these guys ahead of him.
Yeah.
Can he give them some minutes? They're going to need something.
Sure.
I mean, I would think this would be LeBron's and AD's maybe last push. I know it sounds a horrible thing to say, but I know LeBron's playing at a level beyond belief. But I mean, how much do you have in the tank?
I think they have to make another move if this is going to be their last hurrah. Their finals, their last attempt. I mean, I don't see their roster right now being strong enough to get them there. If they made a move in the trade deadline or something, they could possibly get to that point. But I don't think, JJ Redick as the coach is enough to change it for them. So
yeah, I mean, I don't know how many moves they have. They don't have that many draft picks. They don't have that much cash, as far as the way they've had to pay some of these guys. So I mean, unless you get some kind of crazy spike from D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves, and Rui showed some decent signs last year. But I'm with you, man. I think they're, 6-7 seed kind of thing, maybe.
Yeah.
If that, and that's just on the respect of James and Davis.
Right.
But,
and then
if those guys go down, if they get hurt though, those two, we're talking, lottery, top 3 lottery here.
True.
So.
Yeah. And then if they do make it, then they're going to lose to Denver again. So that's coming.
What about this squad in their way?
Yeah.
Let's not forget about them.
What's that?
Are you ready for the Memphis Grizzlies?
Mavericks.
Sir?
Yeah. The Mavericks.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Jumping Ja Morant in his 25, 6 and 8. Back from his stupidity. Hopefully he learned. He sees everything sounds like he's got his head on straight. Mm-hmm. Awesome play any given night on a team that he's still going to be a superstar in. Desmond Bane, is he coming back from an injury and going to be okay? We'll see.
Yeah.
And then, Triple J, 23, 6 and 2. He's going to get some blocks. Always a reasonable play on any given night. So I think you could look at all those guys, those main 3 guys, and I'll have a lot of attention on Ja though. I think I'm a believer that he's going to jump right back in to playing at that all-star level, to where he was before he was out. I mean, he's rested. He's still super young. He's got all the game. There's going to be a lot of shots available.
Sure.
Because you got secondary guys then after that, Williams, Aldama, Smart, Gigi Jackson, Luke Kennard, Brandon Clark after the bad knee injury, the rookie they're talking about, this, Zach Edey guy being, getting a lot of minutes at center, maybe, a guy to keep an eye on. Is he going to take some rebounds from Triple J? Probably. So, that could be a sneaky guy early on, but to me, it's, Ja and company, really.
Yeah, I agree. So they are projecting that Zach Edey is going to start or just get a lot of minutes.
I'm not positive. I think he may start at the 5 and Triple J at the 4. But that I don't know that for sure. I think we need to see what that's going to play out to be. Laravia got a ton of minutes at the end of the year last year. Aldama was their best player for a stretch.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I like Aldama more. I mean, Zach Edey can't shoot. and Aldama can. So.
No, but he's a massive, body in the
Yeah,
paint.
he's a huge guy. I mean, yeah.
He's going to get a ton of rebounds,
Yeah.
Not a bad guy to have in the block when Jaw's running the show. I mean, I think it's a decent play.
He's
and
just
remember, G.G. Jackson, if he cracks their rotation enough, he's like 19 or 20, and he started a lot of last year. So,
yeah,
you got some guys that could, turn out to be decent. I have no idea what to expect from Marcus Smart. I mean, he's generally not a great fantasy player anyway. He's a nice guy to have on the court for your team.
right.
He's an irritant out there, but
yeah,
we'll see how he fits into the mix there. But they're a mixed bag of tricks. I would expect Jaw to be a high utilization, like top 10 usage percentage guy.
Yeah.
All right. Miami Heat. We're getting there. Tyler Hero and Jimmy Butler and Bam, the same trio of key contributors. Miami's a tough team at times to play because, they're going to not play fast. They're going to play good D. They're going to play discipline. Depending on the matchup, depending on who's in and out, because Butler misses a ton of games.
Yeah.
Heroes have been very injury prone, but they're really solid players. Did they add a lot? Not really. I mean, they pretty much are running it back. They did get Terry Rozier toward the end of the year last year, which was a great pickup for them.
Yeah.
Jaime Jaquez Jr. ended up being, probably the lowest drafted guy that performed so well last year. He was awesome in times.
Yeah.
And then Nikola Jovic, who everybody, just knew him because his name sounded like the Joker's, ended up, contributing.
Right.
Graybeard Kevin Love's still chomping out there. He's not going to get too many minutes, but he'll play some. But I think it's going to, I would say that I do think Jimmy Butler is going to have a much better year than he did last year. He's been the kind of guy like doesn't really give a damn about the preseason at all, and doesn't really care that much about the regular season either. Yeah. So can he pace himself to the playoffs? I think they got to ratchet it up a little bit so they get a seed. And he's too good of a coach there. Spoelstra, my favorite coach. I think Butler's going to have a better year. He was 21-5-5. That's
sure
5-5. That's not quite going to cut it. The funny part about it is Tyler Hero was 21-5-5. So you got two guys there that can be very dangerous. And of course, Bam's terrific. And now he's got, the Olympics under his belt.
Yep.
He was basically a 2010 guy last year. So everything's those three guys on, I wouldn't play more than two of them ever because they just don't have enough usage, shot attempts, pace of play.
Sure.
But, in specific matchups, those three are going to dominate usage. And if Rozier or Jaquez step it up, then those are guys you can look at too on specific nights. But not a lot of mystery with that squad. I'm going to defer the Milwaukee Bucks to you to break it down. Okay. You are the king of the Bucks. So you tell me what to expect from the Bucks.
I don't really know exactly what to expect. I mean, Middleton, it looks like he's going to be out for the start of the year. So that's concerning right off the bat. They did pick up Gary Trent Jr. and Taurean Prince and picked up a couple of rookies and A.J. Johnson and Tyler Smith. But I think that Gary Trent Jr. is someone that he kind of had a down year last year and maybe the year before. I can't really remember, but he's trending in the wrong direction. But he's always played well in Milwaukee, and I think he's going to be a step up from what they got from Malik Beasley last year. He was pretty inconsistent. And I think Gary Trent Jr. will be a little bit more consistent. And Taurean Prince, I mean, he's been solid. Had a really good year with the Lakers, so hopefully he can carry some of that over into Milwaukee. But again, it's really going to come down to having Damian Lillard there all off season. I think he's in really good shape. He looks like he's really been going after it with his workouts and stuff. I've seen a few of his videos on Instagram. And, Giannis's health is the big thing. Can he stay healthy for the playoffs? Because they killed themselves when he got hurt last year. So.
Absolutely. Now, do you think they'll back off on Giannis's minutes at all just to try to keep him?
They may, just to keep him more fresh and maybe let Portis play a little bit more. I mean, Portis has done outstanding when he's been in for Giannis. So I think that would be a smart move. But you're not going to slow Giannis down. He's that guy that's going to give 100% effort every night. And he's not going to change the way he plays. So, that's good and that's bad because, he's always going to be at risk for injury just because he's so aggressive and he's not going to change how he plays. So
I'm with you. I mean, for me, Milwaukee is very, very simple. There a lot of nights I'm going to have either Dame or Giannis in my lineup. Because I think they're one of the most unbalanced teams in the league without Middleton. I think it's Dame and Giannis have to absolutely carry the show, in my opinion. So I think, you're not going to be able to afford both, on the same squad, but I think having one of them is going to be really important because there's just not a lot of usage to go around. I mean,
right.
I can't imagine Brook Lopez has much more tread on his tires.
I don't think so.
And then after that, they're just not, the Pat Connaughtons of the world and Beauchamps. And I mean, it's just, to me, it's give me either Dame or Giannis almost every night, one or the other.
Yeah. Yeah, Beauchamp, you mentioned him. He's really been disappointing. I mean, he didn't even do good in the preseason, so I don't think that he's going to get many minutes. I think Andre Jackson Jr. is probably going to get more minutes. I mean, he definitely, in my opinion, earned them with what he did in the playoffs. But, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I hope that Dame will fit in like we hoped he would when we first traded for him, and he'll be the superstar that the second superstar on that team like they need. And not as inconsistent as he was last year, because last year he was pretty hit and miss, honestly.
Well, I mean, there were two factors with Dame last year that you have to remember. One, the huge fiasco with him leaving Portland and not leaving Portland, traded to Miami, not traded to Miami. It was just a shit show, and it affected him. And he's a hard on the sleeve guy, and he was banged up. People don't realize how tough that dude is. Yeah, he would have sat some of those games where some of the people played, vice versa. You know what I'm saying? Right. But I think you're going to see an uptick. I mean, it was 24, 4, and 7 last year. Mm-hmm. Don't be surprised if he's not 26, 5, and 9 this year. I'm high on Dame this year. I think you're going to be really happy that he's back to his, all-star performance.
Yeah, I really hope so. I have high hopes for him. And the other thing that he was dealing with was off the court with his personal life. He's going through a divorce, and he got all that wrapped up this offseason. So he should be a lot more focused, and that's going to obviously help too. So yeah.
And let's face it, I should have stated it this way: every night. You might want to start your lineup with Luka, Joker, or Giannis. I mean, let's face it. I mean, Giannis was 30, 12, and 7. No Middleton to start. Not a lot of backup score. I mean, he's going to have those numbers again if he's healthy. No doubt. No doubt.
Yeah.
All right, Minnesota Timberwolves. Very interesting here. I am so fired up for a guy on this squad that you're going to be shocked at this. I think this is a perfect fit for Julius Randle. And I think he's going to have a fantastic year. I think I've seen a lot of synergy with Ant and Julius in the pre-court as well. There's just a lot of comfort zone there where it wasn't in New York. New York is rough and tough place to play. He was the fall guy on a lot of things. And I'll tell you what, this dude, and we've talked about it in years past, he will bump his own guy out of the way to get a bucket or get a rebound. I mean, he's the kind of guy you want when you're rostering your team. And he's going to go under the radar because people are going to say, well, he's not going to get that many rebounds now because of Gobert, or Ant's going to get all the shots. I'm telling you, this was a great move for both teams. I think Cat being in New York, Julius being here, and then they get DiVincenzo to boot. So I'm worried about Minnesota in the West. I'm terrified of them because, granted, Conley's old, but DiVincenzo's going to get a lot of minutes in that backcourt. Ant's a superstar. They've got a great mixture of defensive rotation with McDaniels, Alexander Walker, a really good Naz Reid off the bench. And now Gobert will get more in a Gobert role without having another center in there. True center. Julius is more of a 4 than a 5. He always has been. So, Gobert was 14 and 13 last year, and he won Defensive Player of the Year. Shouldn't have won it. Wemby should have got it. But he's going to do his thing. He'll be fine. I think he's going to be decent play. But watch for Julius. And I'm telling you what I think Minnesota's going to do in crunch time to end games. I think they're going to bring Naz in, sit Gobert, because they generally have to play him off the court in the fourth quarter in the crunch time. And you're going to have Julius and Naz Reid in there. Naz likes to shoot the three. He likes to play facing the basket. Julius is going to dominate in there when Gobert's not in there. And then when Gobert is in there, you're going to free up Julius on the weak side, I think. And Ant's going to feast off of that too. So as much as I'm concerned about, as a Dallas fan, about Minnesota, I think Ant, Julius Randle, phenomenal plays any given night. I think Gobert is going to be better in this scenario. And watch DiVincenzo. He has a big-ass chip on his shoulder after getting shipped from the Knicks.
Oh, yeah.
He felt like he got screwed. He's going to have a good year, and that's a really under-the-radar pickup for them. I mean, everybody's, Cat for Julius. No, DiVincenzo can play.
Yeah, so, he already had a chip on his shoulder from being traded from Milwaukee and Sacramento. I mean, he really played like a star in the playoffs. So I think DiVincenzo was a huge get for Minnesota for sure.
He gets no respect either, and he's really good. And
I really like him. Yeah.
It's gonna be a good team. They're gonna be fun, and I'll definitely have some Minnesota Timberwolves rostered a lot
for sure.
All right, I'm sorry we're going so long, man, but hopefully this helps everybody prepare for all of their oncoming season here in the NBA. But we'll try to fire through these last teams. New Orleans Pelicans, big question mark. DeJounte Murray, what a pickup for them. If DeJounte Murray, CJ McCollum, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, if those four guys stay healthy, I don't want to play them.
Yeah.
That's loaded. And then you got Herb Jones, a great defender. Trey Murphy can shoot the eyes out. Daniel Tice is going to beat people up. He had a really good Olympics on his own. I mean, I like the Pelicans. I think they're going to be much improved. DeJounte Murray, I'm not a fan of his, just as far as I think he has baggage. But as far as a scorer defender, 23, 5, and 6, and he can shut you down.
Yeah.
Dangerous team in the Pelicans. They're going to make a playoff push without question. There's going to be guys that are going to be way underpriced that nobody talks about. I haven't heard one word about Brandon Ingram in the offseason. CJ McCollum was 25 and 5 last year. Nothing wrong with that. No one's talking about him.
Yeah.
And so Zion, of course, if he stays healthy, depending on price, 23, 6, and 5 last year, and he still hasn't had his peak season yet. So dangerous squad. They'll be a fun squad to watch and a dangerous team to play because not only can they score it, but they can shut you down defensively.
Sure. Yep.
Moving on. New York Knickerbockers. Interesting here. You got the Tibbs factor where he's going to play his guys, a million minutes and play them into the ground. So always a fantasy darlings. I'm a massive Jalen Brunson fan. Always have been.
Yeah.
He almost scored 30 a game last year.
I know.
30 with 4 rebounds and 7 assists. Unbelievable. So, you lose Randall, who can be very ball dominant at times. For a cat who's going to fire up some shots, but he's not going to clear the side of the floor like Julius and back people down and do all that. He's going to look to spot up for the 3, hit the glass. So I think Brunson could have even a better year if he's healthy. I love his position. I think the most underrated pickup of the offseason is Mikal Bridges. That guy is a stud, and he's a tremendous pickup for them. I think, I'd play him a lot early on. So, Brunson, Bridges, I think Cat has something to prove. He can certainly shoot it. He's going to get floor spacing with these guys. Those 3 guys, Knicks, are going to be good. I think they're great pickups in whatever you're playing, fantasy, daily, year-long, you name it. I think they're going to have a great year. And Tibbs is going to play them all a million minutes. Anunoby, people have forgotten about him because he got hurt. He's a key to that team. He's back. He's supposedly healthy. 15, 4, and 2 doesn't blow your doors off, but he's going to play 37 minutes a game if he's healthy. And I think you got to consider him at times. You have some people, Josh Hart and Miles McBride, Achua. Those, they're going to get some minutes, but you can never really count big on their bench minutes, except for Hart and if somebody goes down. But to me, it's 1, 2, 3, Brunson, and then Bridges and Towns tied, and you just plug one of those guys in and go with it.
Yep.
All right, what do we have left? 3, 4. Oh my God, we still have some teams, dude. I'm really going long. All right, Oklahoma City Thunder, everybody's sweetheart team, and deservedly so. I mean, they picked up really the one piece that they needed, in my opinion. That's Alex Caruso. I mean, perfect guy for them. Very great defensive player, great leader, good experience. For him to partner with SGA, Jalen Williams, Jalen Williams, that's really starting to peak his game. Dort's tough. Chet Holmgren, 17, 8, and 2 as a rookie. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
They're a great team. I think, SGA on it, again, not far from that first echelon of 3 or 4 players. I mean, he was 36 and 6 last year and looked like he was doing it on neutral. I mean, he still got improvement, I think, in there.
Yeah.
So I think, he's going to be a solid pick every night. Jalen Williams, ALEN, the forward is good on a specific night. He's also boom and bust at times, so you got to watch with him. Yeah. But Chet's going to get you. He's going to get you a double-double pretty much every night and a lot of blocks. So Chet's going to make a lot of my lineups, even though center is such a packed spot this year. I think Chet is in a good spot, especially since Hartenstein is hurt right now. He's supposed to be coming back, but I think you can really feel comfortable with him, although he does rotate guys. He does not overplay his guys. That's the only concern I have, is he's sort of the anti-Tibbs. He sticks with his rotations, and that's the only downside. So, after SGA, it's gotta be the right matchup. Really.
So when Hartenstein is back, are they projecting that he's going to start with Holmgren and then they moved Holmgren to 4, or how are they going to do that?
I mean, that's what they talked about doing. We'll see. I mean, you're going to have a rotate. Really, the main guys will be SGA, Caruso, Dort, Jalen Williams, Chet, and Hartenstein at that point. But how that's going to shuffle, I think, is going to just depend on the matchup.
Yeah.
Specifically, if they have to go big or not go big. I mean, but they can play Chet and Hartenstein together. There's no question. But I mean, Chet shoots the three and the whole nine, so you can do that. But again, that is my concern. Like if you're in keeper leagues and those kind of things, the only problem with a Chet taking him as your main center is he going to get enough center minutes when Hartenstein is back, and with the rotation, they have the other Jalen Williams that'll get a few minutes too.
Yeah.
So you got to just tread lightly. Again, a great team on paper and a great team for the NBA, but not always the best team for DFS beyond Shea.
Sure.
Orlando Magic, sir. We're getting closer.
Yeah.
This is where Caldwell Pope landed, which I thought was a cool pickup for them. They needed a defensive stalwart with some leadership to mix in with their young guys, Suggs and Cole Anthony. Franz Wagner, phenomenal Olympics. He could be a guy stepping out. And Banchero, obviously, is a star. He's 23, 7, and 5. So pretty easy for me. Banchero and Wagner are the two key guys. Yeah. And then after that, you got a lot of rotation of a lot of young guys that are up and coming that are going to get some minutes. They signed Mac McClung to a 2-way contract, so good for the slam dunk. Good for him.
I mean, he probably won't play hardly at all, but at least he's on our roster,
At least he's getting paid,
Yeah, exactly.
So, they're improving. I think they'll make a few strides, but they're still one big player away, I think, from a serious push.
Yeah, I agree.
Sixers, very interesting here. The Joel Embiid quotes, everybody's freaking out. Nobody's drafted him in any of the leagues. Everybody's panicked. He says he doubts he's ever going to play a back-to-back for the rest of his career and all these things. I'm not buying into all of that stuff. I think I get it. He's injury prone. He does sit games, et cetera, but he's 35, 11, and 6 with blocks. And he's one of the most important, if not the most important player to any team in the league. Right. So I wouldn't be terrified of him early on. I think you just ignore all that noise and all the panic and everybody not wanting to take a risk on him. He's still Joel Embiid. He's still one of the best players in the league. And, until I see that he really, truly is going to sit a lot, I still think you dial him in. You don't have to be afraid to do it. Yeah. Tyrese Maxey, obviously, I've talked about him since they drafted him. If you remember, he was one of my favorite guys. I couldn't believe they drafted him where they did. And, 26, 4, and 6, he's a star. Plus, he got his new hairdo with no braids in the face this year, Josh. Yeah. So all of it's back. He can actually see. So one of those things that an old coach would bug an old coach. How it goes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great player on any given night. Now, Paul George, injury. He's older. He's injury prone. How's he going to step up? I mean, he's Paul George, fantastic player, great addition to that team if he's healthy. If is the biggest word in the world for that squad, because if there's some way that Paul George and Joel Embiid play 70 games this year, 68 games even, they're going to be really, really good. But that's an if. You could get 50 games from Embiid and 50 from George, and now you're scrambling. Then you need Andre Drummond and Oubre and Reggie Jackson and Caleb Martin, to step up to back up Maxey, because, that's going to be the key. Everything depends on health and situation. If they're playing though, and they are healthy, no question you can dial these guys up. But this is the key, Josh. If one of them is sitting and the other two are playing in any rotation, like George is going to be sitting initially, you got to look at the other two guys very seriously, because it's going to be usage imperative for Maxey, George, and Embiid, whichever combination of them are in there. If for some reason two of them are sitting, it's 100% lock, whoever that third guy is, because it's just they're going to get it, all the shots, all the rebounds, you name it. So
sure.
That's how I see that one. It's a risk reward year for Philly. I mean, I like that they push the chips all in, and they have 3 all-stars on their team.
Yeah.
But let's see, how does the rest of that squad fit in with those guys I mentioned? Eric Gordon, KJ Martin, Reggie Jackson. Can they get anything from those guys that are hanger-oners and see if they can help out? Yabusele made the team after his great Olympics, so maybe he'll chip in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Phoenix Suns, in honor of Deb. I'm going to tip my hat to our good friend Deb. I hope she's enjoying her Phoenix Suns and her Suns season tickets. I know she's going to be pumped up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what do you say about the Suns? They have Booker, they have Beal, they have Durant. They have Nurkic, who's decent, Grayson Allen, who had some decent games. Same, really the same type of situation. All depends on health. I mean, Beal's season was a complete waste last year. It screwed up everything. Booker's a superstar. I mean, he proved it. He's Olympics. He's one of the best players, out there at the point. 25, 5, and 7. Don't expect any backup from him. And KD. I mean, but you've got an older KD. Again, those two guys played all summer.
True.
27, 7, and 5 for Durant. I mean, I know he's an alien. He's not a human being, but, can he keep that up is the key,
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. The jury's out there. I mean, you can always look for Booker and Durant, especially in good matchups. I'm not the biggest Nurkic guy anymore, but he did average a double-double. He was 11 and 11 last year.
Yeah.
I don't trust Bradley Beal as far as I can throw him, but we know that, he could drop 40 real points on you. So you just never know where that team's going to go. They are a real question mark. And a lot of it's going to be based on, can Booker and Durant stay healthy and not tire out? I'm sure the coach sees that they played all summer, and Durant's age and such. Maybe they lose some minutes too in the rotation. That's something to be fearful of too. So you got to monitor that close.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the only move they really made was the Tyus Jones move, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Monte Morris is there. They don't really have Josh Okogie, Royce O'Neal, same guys, Mason Plumlee, Bol, but it's really the same. I mean, Tyus will be a nice addition. I like Tyus Jones. I think he'll help in that guard rotation.
Right.
And it is, insurance. If Beal goes down for the millionth time. So, not bad. All right, the young Portland Trailblazers, Scoot Henderson, Simons, guy I like, Denny Avdia. I think it was a very quiet, nice, solid pickup for Portland. He was 15, 7, and 4 last year. I think he'll get some increase. The elder statesman, Jeremy Grant, and the guy that I've always been down on, Mr. DeAndre Ayton. I talk about a guy you can't trust. What a weird guy he is in DFS at times. But I don't know, man. They've got a million young guys. They want to get a bunch of minutes for a bunch of these young guys, Kamara and Walker and Sharp and Chris Murray. Thibault got hurt. He's going to be out for a while. They also have Banton and a lot of guys that played minutes last year. I think they're all going to divvy up a bunch. I'm not a big Scoot Henderson guy. I think Simons is a guy that can win a slate for you, or he could kill you. I mean, he was 23, 4, and 6. That's fantastic. So you got to look at him on any given night. And then I think Denny Avdia, below the radar, cheap at 15, 7, and 4, like I say from last year, I think can improve on that. I think he can be an 18, 8, and 6 guy, which is going to make a lot of good lineups. So, a definitely team to watch. Certainly not anybody you want to have multiple guys, but if you can cherry pick a guy out of this team and put him in the right spot, they can do some good for you.
Yeah.
All right, we have 3, 4, 5 teams left. We're getting there, my friend. It's like the old days, 18-hour podcasts.
Yeah.
Sacramento, very interesting. De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis, 2 superstars. You can play them every night. How is DeMar DeRozan going to fit in? Does he have any punch left for them? And, that could be key. You're going to get Keegan Murray, who's going to chuck a lot of shots. There was a stretch where he looked like a star and a stretch like he looked like he should be in the G League last year.
Yeah.
And then, Malik Monk, who had my favorite dunk of the year last year, by the way. But, I don't know. For DFS purposes, the Monks, Murrays, Herders, Lyles, just last guy in an emergency, hold your nose kind of guys. But really it just comes down to me to Fox or Sabonis. There's times where if they're priced right, you can go with both. But is DeMar going to take some usage away from them? That utilization of shots. And we'll see. I mean, that's going to be something to watch early on. DeMar is not a three-point shooter, as we know, but phenomenal mid-range and can do some really good things. I think he's a good add for them, but I think you still look at either the Fox or Sabonis side of it, and roll with it from there. I love De'Aaron Fox, so I think he's one of the more exciting players in the league, and I've seen him just dominate games. But again, he's not a slam dunk guy though, as far as from the salary standpoint. It's got to be the right slate that I think you fit him in.
Agree.
The Spurs, Wembanyama, obviously. I mean, when you can score 20 points, get 20 rebounds, and block 15 shots, I guess you're a cheat code freak of nature. So I don't see any reason why Vic's not going to be owned, 80 million times over. Now he even has Chris Paul to get him the ball at times. So I don't even want to waste that much time though, because the Spurs, if we've talked about it before, it is an absolute Russian roulette, Popovich nightmare. As soon as you think, hey, Trey Jones, Devin Vassell, Malachi Branham, Justin Champagne, Jeremy Sohan, Zach Collins, Charles Bassey. I mean, all these guys, we played them all, and Pop finds a way to like bench them, sit them. I don't know. It's a disaster. So for me, if you want to play Vic, he's going to be a great play every night. I don't care who he's matched up against, literally every night. I don't care if it's Gobert from Minnesota or whomever. Vic's a play every night. I don't want a single other guy on their team. I do not believe in Sokan, Vassell, all these guys. I don't think that, they like Stephen Castles, some of these young guys, and they still need a lot of help around Vic, a lot.
Yeah, and it looks like they're projecting to start Harrison Barnes over Keldon Johnson, which I don't really get that, but that's.
I think Keldon Johnson stinks, and Harrison Barnes is overrated. I don't like the Spurs team at all after Vic. Not one guy. I'm sorry, Spurs fans. I apologize.
I don't think we have any Spurs fans watching right now, so I think we're
good. All right, Toronto Raptors. A big, giant reset for them. So what's going on with them? I know Grady Dick's been hurt preseason. Quickly, showed signs of being solid. I mean, they're bad.
Yeah.
They are not good. They could be one of the worst teams in the league, if not the worst team. I guess it's all Scotty Barnes. People love Scotty Barnes because he's a triple-double kind of guy, and I get that. I mean, and he's going to have a lot of usage. I mean, there's not much there.
Yeah.
They are pathetic. They're going to get blowouts. They're going to rotate a lot of guys. I just, Grady Dick can shoot it. Bruce Brown is there, after the bust from last year.
Yeah.
on Baji, the youngster. RJ Barrett, people say they love RJ Barrett. I mean, he did score 20 a game. I guess, in a pinch, you can look at quickly Barrett and then specifically Barnes. But, man, I'll be racing away from Toronto most of the year because I just don't trust that they're going to be competitive in most games.
Yeah.
And, it's just they're a mess.
Yeah.
All right, Utah Jazz down to the final two, my friend.
Nice.
Markkanen, any night can be terrific. 23-8-2 with injuries last year. He's going to be their main guy. He's going to be their star. Certainly somebody to look at. Again, a lot of it's going to be on price with him, but he's their superstar player. I think you got to really, focus on him if you take any swing at them. After that, though, again, a team that's totally on the rebuild. I mean, they've got a lot of picks coming up and things like that. But, I mean, if you want to count your lineup on a Clarkson or Sexton or John Collins or Hendricks or, Johnny Juzang, Keontae George is up and coming. But I'm going to be running for the hills on Utah. I doubt you're going to see a Raptor or Jazz player on my squad almost ever, unless Markkanen's in a lineup that I just can't pass up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Before we go to the last team in Washington, let's go ahead and say hi to some people in the chat, Coach. We've got JT says hi, Pain Blank SM, which I believe is Dead Presidents, and then King of All Trades. Our good buddy King of All Trades is in here, and then Doug is in here too. So
awesome. Hello, guys, and I hope we get it out there so everybody can take a listen and check it out before the start of the season. But thank you for joining in. And if you have any last-second questions to throw in there, I know we've gone super long, but we'll hit this last team, and we can check any questions if you have any questions.
Sounds good.
All right. Speaking of garbage, we got the Washington Wizards. We finished with a real glutton of bad teams here. But Jordan Poole, we all know the story with him. He's not good, but he can score. On the right night, maybe he's a difference maker for you. We'll see. Feel bad for Malcolm Brogdon. How did he end up here? I mean, at this point in his career, why don't your Bucks pick him back up? He was really good there.
He really was. I wish.
What a waste there. Yep. Yeah. Then you just Kyle Kuzma, who the Mavericks almost signed, by the way. He didn't want to go to the Mavs, so I'm glad you stayed there, Kyle, because we would not have gotten PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford. So
true.
So Kuzma. Yeah, probably, their number one target, 22-7-4. We know that he handles the ball a lot. He can get some decent assists, and he's going to score it. And that's what he likes to do. So Kuzma, as much as I'm not a big fan on a given night, is a solid play. They've got this mixture of Joe Val, Bagley, and Rashawn Holmes, their centers. So good luck with that. Joe Val never plays big minutes. He's competitive when he's in there, but you just can't trust that. Sadiq Bey had a nice little stretch there when he came over from Detroit last year. I think you can dial him up cheap if you need him. Koulibaly, the Frenchman that played with Wemby over in France, I think is a nice up-and-comer. Again, not a key contributor, but somebody that you want to plug in. I mean, everybody needs a cheaper last guy in. I think Koulibaly fits that role decently on a given night. And that's really it. I mean, I don't like their depth. They have some young guys that, Alex Sarr is the guy that we need to mention, though. He's the guy that they drafted. He's the guy that they like. They're going to give him minutes. I think that I just don't know. The jury's out. He's a rookie. He's a little raw. I think we're going to want to watch him. He could be good, could be really good. He's a baby. I think he's a teenager, but
Yeah.
something to watch. I think he'll be their best youngster, but we'll see how many minutes and what part of the rotation he's in. I mean, for scoring the ball, though, it's probably going to be Kuzma, Poole, and Bay again. But again, not a target team.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it, man. You want me to recap and go over all the teams one more time?
I think we're good. Just wanted to throw this out here real quick. So we've got, the season's tipping off tomorrow. The Boston Celtics are taking on the New York Knicks in Boston, and the Minnesota Timberwolves are taking on the Lakers in LA. So should be a good doubleheader. Is that on TNT, I think? I can't remember. But
I think so, and this might be our last year with Shaq and Charles in the gang. So
yeah, that sucks.
Bittersweet,
really,
man.
Yeah. But yeah, it should be a good doubleheader to start the season. I did want to mention real quick on the DFS standpoint, we have the utility spot on Draftkings and Yahoo, but not on Fanduel. So we're going to build our lineups a little bit differently on Fanduel, but we do have the utility spot once again on Draftkings and Yahoo. So that'll be good. And anything you want to throw out just as a last second advice as far as building lineups this year, Coach?
No, I mean, I think that we pretty much covered it all. I think it's looking to be initially, and again, every single solitary night is different, but it looks like a night or a season where you're really going to have some upper echelon players where you're going to need to choose which one to take. And then really the key is going to be those mid-level guys, like it usually is. I mean, everybody's going to get their stud. Everybody's going to get their cheap guy, and they're going to be popular and high owned. But it's those middle-level guys that are going to be the real, differentiators, the Julius Randles and those kind of guys that are priced high but not too high, that can get you those elite points. So I think really building mixed lineups is going to be the way to go. Now, with injuries and such, there may be, nights where you can do stars and studs, but for the most part, the way that the league is panning out with such an upper echelon of guys like Joker and Giannis and Luka and Shea and stuff, it's going to really be balanced builds. I think are going to be your consistent way to success for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that. Doug said NFL. Oh, Deshaun Watson's out for the year. Okay. Well,
it had to be an Achilles, right?
Yeah, I think it was.
You could tell the way it went when he went. But I just want to say on closing for me is listen to Josh and Doug, and those guys are phenomenal with football. Enjoy Coach Talk, support them. I know my life is so busy. I've stepped away from it, but I'm going to try to jump in every once in a while with basketball being my main game, and try to help out wherever I can. But enjoy these guys, listen in. If you want to check this podcast out and listen to it in pieces, check out some of the teams. Hopefully that'll give you some help as the season goes on. But appreciate you having me on, Josh, and
absolutely.
Wish you and Doug and the whole team there nothing but the best.
Appreciate it very much, Coach. You're always welcome. Always enjoy having you on the show. Our next podcast is going to be on Friday, I believe. Doug and I will be breaking down Week 8 in the NFL, so you definitely want to stay tuned for that. We'll probably talk a little bit about the World Series while we're on that show too. Just kind of combine it a little bit and throw that in there. World Series starts Friday. If you didn't know, the Yankees and the Dodgers, which go figure, that's who I think most people thought it would be. But that is the World Series matchup this year. So we're going to have our lineups and everything for that, like always. I hope everybody has enjoyed this show, and we will be back again on Friday as we look to crush it in DFS and Prizepicks. Have a great day. Thank you. Yes, sir. Mavericks.
All right.